Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. So I'll begin by introducing myself and the class we are having. Then probably we'll then hear from you guys a little introduction. So I'm Dr. Daniel Okon. Um, I lecture in the University of Port Harcourt, Department of Cybersecurity. I also major in cloud systems, cloud automations. I run a private consultancy firm known as P-Link High-Tech Solutions Limited, where we are heavily involved in trainings and innovations. So outside that, I'm also heavily into machine learning and big data, as well as I'm a certified ethical hacker. Yeah, so I'm what people call a network security guy. On the other hand, I also have a PhD in environmental health and MS in environmental health. So I'm actually multidisciplinary. I'm in the health sector, in the environmental sector, I'm also into IT. So that has actually helped me to build solutions and work in several organizations and several projects that cut across several industries. So for the next 2 months, I'll be handling this particular course, Foundation of Data Ethics, under the program Data Ethics and Governance. So I would like to hear from each and every one of us, maybe just a little brief introduction, just on the call. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. So I'll just do a little brief on how we are going to be running the program, as in the weekly basics. So I'll share my screen. Okay. So as you can see, the classroom would be having the weekly program. So for instance, we have the welcome message where I welcome every one of us to the program. Next, we have, and if you click on view material, you could actually see the course syllabus for you to download right here on the screen. Next to that, we have the introduction forum post. So the purpose of this is for every one of us to click on this and to introduce yourself, like I've indicated here, post a short introduction of yourself, your name, professional background, why you enrolled in this course, and one data ethics issues you've already encountered. Like my pastor over here, I'm very much interested because there will be a lot of ethical issues as we progress in the program, which you would likely share with us. I'll share some of them from my end, and we expect everyone to also share some ethical issues we have encountered. So next to that, we have the lecture slides for this week, which is in PDF. I expect us to, as much as we have the time, to download and go through the lectures, though we'll go through it this week. Next to that, we have the required reading links. So these are some journal articles I've been able to get, just two of them. I gave the direct links and also got the direct PDF. So these articles, you go through them and it would avail you of um, some ethical principles in AI and all of that. So you just go through it. When you go through it, we'll discuss it as we meet on our discussional forum. Next, I also provided about 2 videos showing us about ethical issues when it comes to data, strong ethical issues that came up in the past. And it is compulsory to watch both videos before proceeding to the discussional forum. And the discussional forum has a deadline of 5th April to turn in your discussions. So when you have gone through the video on the forum, you would read through the question I posted there. After reading it, you now have to post your own response to this question with 150 to 200 words. And you have to reply to at least 2 of your colleagues' responses. You have to reply to at least 2 of your colleagues' responses. And when we say reply, please, it must be a very meaningful reply. You reply to your 2 of your colleagues' responses. That forms part of your assessment. Lastly, I introduce what is called a reflective journal. This cut across every week. The reflective, I'm going to take questions, don't worry. The reflective journal cut across every week. So in the reflective journal, I just ask you, when you have gone through all the articles, you now think about a time, personally or professionally, where you encountered a situation where data was used in a way that felt maybe bad. So based on that, you just share with me privately about the situation you encountered and how you got to do about it. So that is what is called a reflective journal. Lastly, there's a quiz which you have to partake in. A quiz, you have to partake in the quiz, and that would end the week 1. So every week for the next 8 weeks, this is what will be happening, and that's what we'll be doing every week. So we saw a hand raised up. Miss Okelo, it seems you had a question. Okay, yeah. Okay, you can see clearly. Okay. Please, can you see the slide clearly? The PowerPoint slide now. Full screen. Yeah, I've done it full screen. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, I've done it full screen. You can still see clearly the slide. Okay. Okay. Let me see what to do. Does this help? Okay, this is better, right? Okay. So let's get to it. When we are talking about data, we have to start from the foundation of data ethics. The foundation matters. The foundation of data ethics. So we are going to be covering the definition of ethics. We'll be looking at what exactly is data ethics. We'll also see the core pillars of data ethics. We'll look at the data life cycle, ethical frameworks. Then lastly, before we end today, we'll be looking at a typical case study of real life scenario when it comes to data ethics. So we're expecting that by the end of the week, we should be able to define data ethics and distinguish it from related concepts such as privacy and privacy laws. We should be able to apply ethical frameworks to data scenarios. And most importantly, we should be able to trace the role of ethics across the full data life cycle, ranging from data collection up to the point of data disposal. And by the time we are done, you now understand why we have to be very, very careful when we are working with survey forms. Survey forms, when issuing survey forms, and also when analyzing survey forms, you now realize that you can't just issue survey forms at random, because whatever data you are collecting from a respondent has ethical principles attached to it. And we are going to see a real case scenario of ethical cases related to data. What is ethics? Ethics generally is a branch of philosophy. I did philosophy and logic. That should be my 100 level. And that was the very first time I heard about ethics, when we were taught about what is wrong and what is right. Why do you know that what is right is considered right? And why do you know that what is wrong is also considered wrong? That has to do with ethics. Ethics is the branch of philosophy that is concerned with questions about what is morally and generally accepted to be right, what is generally accepted to be wrong, and what is good and what is bad, and why is it actually good and why is it bad. In fact, when I did that course in my undergraduate level, it came to a point I had to question why black is called black and why white is called white. Did someone just come and assume and tell us that white should be called white from today? So ethics actually leads us to ask lots and lots of questions. What could be right for us may not be actually right for another person. Considering the letter 9 and 6, when alternated the other way around, 9 could be 9 for you, but could be 6 for the other person. And it is very, very important in this course. So in ethics, we actually see how and why people behave, how they behave. That is descriptive ethics, showing why people behave and what moral standards they hold in practice. When we now talk about normative ethics, normative has to do with standards and principles. When we come to standards, one thing that readily comes into mind is a principle known as ISO, International Standards Organization. The organization that sets standards and tends to apply what standards relate to every particular type of practice. Descriptive ethics is the study of how people actually behave and what moral standards they hold in practice. Normative. Please, normative has to do with standards. Standards. Normative prescribes, using a set defined rules, how people ought to behave in a particular case scenario, and principles that and rules that must guide us. When we now come to applied ethics, ethics, we are now talking about specific domains, specific work domains, problem domains, such as medical, legal, business, computing, flights, data. When I move on flights a lot, and I've experienced quite a lot of things on the air. At a point, I had to start studying to know exactly how pilots relate to these scenarios, because I came to understand that the cockpit of a plane is filled with a lot and lot of controls, and I was trying to imagine, do pilots actually take all these controls to mind? Do they cram? And I got to know that when it comes to aviation, there's what is called rules book. A pilot must compulsorily follow a rules book for any issue that is meant to be rectified in a flight. I got to know that. So that now has to do with applied ethics relating to aviation. If the flight has an engine problem mid-air, the pilot don't just act with head knowledge. The pilot must go back to the manufacturer's rule book and see the exact principle and guidelines set by the manufacturer on how this problem should be handled. So that is what is called applied ethics. I've talked about descriptive ethics, normative ethics, and applied ethics. Applied ethics has to do with ethical theories relating to specific problem domains and data. Next, we have looked at ethics generally. We now want to streamline it to our course. What do we now mean by data ethics? What is data ethics? Data ethics is a branch of applied ethics. Remember this, in ethics, I told us about 3 different types of ethics, and I'm now into applied ethics. Data ethics is a branch of applied ethics. What do data ethics generally do? It evaluates the moral implications of data collection, number one, data processing, data sharing, and the use of algorithms. Now we are talking about AI. Before now, we just talk about data when we are teaching this course. But in this course now, AI has come in. And we now talk about how do we apply AI. There must be set rules that is used to govern AI systems that act and perform analysis on data. So data ethics is that branch that evaluates the moral implications of data collection, data processing, data sharing, and the use of those data. When we are talking about data collection, we have various ways of data collection. Now, in data collection, let's ask ourselves, should data be collected with or without consent? Generally, I'm just throwing this to us. Should data be collected with or without consent? Abel and Okelo. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Any other view? Should it? Yeah. Yeah.
What Abel was mentioning.
Okay. Okay. You agree with what he's saying, right?
Yeah, yes, I
Okay.
agree. And then I understood that there is some label really where the people can feel that uh, to take a someone data, you need to take accountability for the reason why you take that someone data. But in some label is look that is it the one who collect the data, he has a right or he has authority to collect the data you want for the people that you want to collect the data about. Yeah, actually, there is no, because the people do not know their right. There was no one obligated to take information that they want from you if they do not inform you. But in many cases, you can find it out that you can collect the data of the people that you will not inform them. Then, yeah, will be different cases. Maybe the reason why you don't disclose it, maybe if you disclose it, maybe you will refuse to continue giving the data you want to take, or he may not have aware, he may not be aware that as there is a rule to follow to collect a data from someone else. So those are the things. And then it's also we know we have a number of data, or we have a number of method of collecting data. When you can find someone just taking a picture without informing you, is also you need to be informed before your pictures was taken. But those things you know repeatedly taking, the people can take your picture without informing you, and then you don't know at the end of the day, well, what is going to use with your picture. So those are need the owner to be informed. But since the people do not know, or the one who take the data, he feel that he has a right to do it. That is why they cannot inform the other people. So this is my understanding. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we both have given quite good quite good perspective behind that. So still on